disorders. Tell your doctor if you're prone to infections, have any open sores, have had hepatitis B, have been treated for heart failure, or if while on Enbrel, you experience persistent fever, bruising, bleeding, or paleness.
Ask your rheumatologist and envision your possibilities with Enbrel.
See what the new day brings. Seize in the best value under the sun.
Good morning and welcome back to Early Today, everyone. I'm Dan Klessler, and here are some of your top headlines this morning. Police in Northern Ireland are searching for gunmen from the real IRA this morning after the splinter group claimed responsibility for the killing of 2 British soldiers in what officials describe as an attempted mass murder. 4 people were injured in that worst attack in the province in over a decade. Sudan's president continues his defiant stand against the international community after being indicted on war crimes for atrocities committed in Darfur. During his first trip to the region following the charges, Omar al-Bashir threatened to expel diplomats and peacekeepers just days after kicking out 13 of the largest aid groups. A major study of U.S. religion shows the percentage of Americans who call themselves Christians has dropped dramatically over the past 2 decades, from 86% in 1990 to 76% today. The survey shows the only group that grew in every state, people who identify themselves as having no religion. And a second publicist for the California mother of octuplets has quit. The publicist tells Us Weekly that Nadia Suleiman, who has a total now of 14 children, is, quote, greedy and nuts. Suleiman's first representative resigned after getting hate mail. Now here's an early look at how Wall Street will kick off the day today. The Dow opens at 6,626 after gaining 32 points Friday. The S&P was up a fraction, but the NASDAQ, that dipped 5 points. Taking a look at overseas trading this morning, in Tokyo, the Nikkei lost 87 points, while in Hong Kong, the Hang Seng plummeted 576 points. A big deal has materialized in the big pharma this morning. For more on that and all your early business headlines, we're joined this morning by Martin Bakkerdax at the London headquarters of CNBC. Hey, Martin, good morning.
Hey, good morning to you, Dan. It's nice to kick off the week with a bit of good news and a bit of rare merger activity. Merck and Schering-Plough going to tie the knot in a $41 billion deal of the 2 drugs giants. The price represents about a 44% premium to the 2 stocks over the last 30 days. Richard Clark is going to run the combined company. The experimental drug business of Schering really the jewel in that crown. We'll see if we can turn the tide on a weak Asian session last night after exports in Japan collapsed in the month of January in the first trade deficit since 1996, Nikkei 225 touching 26-year lows. Not surprising that exports are coming under pressure when the global economy is having a synchronized downturn, both in terms of size and in trade. This according to the World Bank. In fact, this year they'll shrink together for the first time since the Second World War. Despite those assumptions, though, oil continues on its upward trend, touching 6-week highs, even though reports OPEC says it's probably going to trim production at its weekend meeting in Vienna, although sometimes we never know whether they are actually going to meet those commitments. Gas prices creeping up along with oil as well, rising 1.8 cents a gallon in the past 2 weeks to an average of $1.96 across the United States. Ahead this week, traders are going to be looking for more signs of optimism, although the calendar is going to be light both in terms of corporate and economic news. We will see, though, some retail sales and consumer confidence data. Circuit City, they shut the doors on 500-plus outlets for the last time on Sunday. That ends an 8-week liquidation, a little bit early after the failure of the group that was once valued at $5.5 billion. And finally, the credit crunch, well, it might be hit spending, but not generosity. A Southern California businessman passed away last month at the age of 79, but he bequeathed several $1 million to Vanguard University in Orange County, where he used to eat his meals in the cafeteria every single day. Dan, that is quite a tip.
Steak and sandwiches, I mean, you know, that's what they're worth apparently these days. Thanks for that, Martin. Appreciate it. The U.S. goes to war with Venezuela on the baseball field. Plus, speaking of war, when Duke and North Carolina face off in college hoops, it's all out. Your early morning sports headlines are straight ahead.
And some much-needed clearing in the West. Details ahead. You're watching Early Today.
Sensitive skin runs in the family.
Oh, yeah.
New
fragrance-free Gold Bond Ultimate Soothing Lotion. Moisturizes, vitamins, and chamomile soothe and calm irritation.
Irritated skin? History.
Can your lotion do that? New Gold Bond Ultimate Soothing.
This stuff really works.
Many women think they have a yeast infection when they don't. How can you know it's not more serious? Well, now you can know. The Vagisil screening kits test for vaginal infections at home because knowing is the first step to healing. Vagisil.
Should a man over 50 take the same multivitamin as a woman? I don't think so. One a day men's 50 Plus Advantage. The only complete multivitamin with support for prostate and heart health, plus more Gecko for memory and concentration. For one a day.
So he's going away with Avis. Again. He'll probably get the where to GPS so he can find all his precious flavored coffees and driving ranges on his business trip. Fine. That's the way he wants it. Fine. Forget about him. You don't need him.
Did he just look back?
I think he looked back.
Where to GPS can find anything from a driving range to a latte. Just one more reason Avis is your other car.
This might not be the best time to sell a home.
But we just can't wait for the market to heat up.
Need to sell? RE/MAX agents have the experience to get the job done. Nobody sells more real estate than RE/MAX. Where do you want to be?
Many good people are on the credit treadmill, going nowhere, paying obscene interest rates with no chance of ever paying off their debt. We offer new alternatives by settling your debts for a small portion of the amount, or you can get a fresh start by filing for bankruptcy. We've helped thousands of people just like you. We accept many cases with no money down statewide. Call someone local you know and trust for a free debt evaluation by phone, 24 hours a day, every day. Call 1-800-BANKRUPT. That's 1-800-BANKRUPT.
My daughter knew I hated my dentures, so she calls me one day and says, Mom, get ready. You and I are going to a free seminar at ClearChoice. We're going to find out about dental implants.
ClearChoice provides implants and beautiful new teeth in just one appointment. So come to a seminar, meet our doctors, see our high-tech 3D CAT scan, and our on-site lab. Learn what your treatment will cost and how it can fit your budget.
That free seminar was the first step. Now I have a new smile.
For a free seminar, call 480-513-9911.
Good morning. If you're just waking up, this is early today. In sports, it's every baseball fan's worst nightmare. Your team's best player out of the lineup and heading into surgery. Here's NBC's Fred Rogan with an early look at all your sports headlines.
Good morning. It has been a tumultuous offseason for Alex Rodriguez, and now he is headed for surgery. Rodriguez going under the knife today in Colorado to repair a torn labrum in his hip. He'll miss 6 to 9 weeks. The Yanks expect him back sometime in May, but that's not all. A-Rod will need a secondary operation after the season if he makes it all the way to October. The surgeon says there's an 85 to 90% chance Rodriguez will last the entire regular season. Meanwhile in Toronto, A-Rod's teammate Derek Jeter and Team USA taking on Venezuela in the World Baseball Classic. Game tied in the 6th when Colorado's Chris Iannetta drove one off the wall and right. 3 runs scored, including Mark DeRosa, who barely beat the throw to the plate. U.S. beat Venezuela 15-6. They advance to the second round. College hoops in Chapel Hill. Michael Jordan on hand to watch number 2 North Carolina host number 7 Duke. Senior night for the Tar Heels. Tyler Hansborough's last home game called it the best 4 years of his life. Then the rivals went at it. And check this. Carolina's Ed Davis out. He stepped right on Brian Zubek's groin. Somebody always gets hurt when these two meet. As for the game, final minutes, Heels up 4. Ty Lawson drove, scored in the foul. Carolina beat Duke 79-71 to wrap up the ACC's regular season title. Hockey in Washington, Capitals and Penguins to a shootout in Pittsburgh. Sidney Crosby did his part, beating Jose Theodore. Then it was up to the league's other young star, Alexander Ovechkin. He had to make this to force another round. Denied by Marc-Andre Fleury. Penguins won their 6th straight, 4-3.
New Touch of Gray lets you keep some gray hair. Touch of Gray for the generation that swore it would never get old.
Back to college hoops in Knoxville. Tennessee and Alabama tied in the closing seconds. Anthony Brock off balance over 2 defenders for the win, and he got it. What a shot. Even more impressive when you consider Brock was at his grandmother's funeral in Arkansas Saturday night, missed the flight to Knoxville, but drove through the night to be at the game, and it paid off. Brock and the Crimson Tide shocked Tennessee 70-67. That's your early look at sports on Early Today. I'm Fred Rogan.
All right, thank you, Fred. Aside from who was number 1, we'll tell you about the other winners and losers at the box office this weekend. Your early morning entertainment headlines. headlines are straight ahead. But routine scene repeated daily throughout the world. A proud mom and dad with their new baby.